It's an absolute honour to have you on today, Emmanuel. I'm really pleased to have you on. Thank you very much for your time.
No, absolutely my pleasure. I appreciate it. I ain't gonna lie to you, man. I've been seeing the promos and that, and I was thinking to myself, you know what? Like, this is good. I'm gonna watch this. Like, who's this guy? I realized it was me. So I was like, hang on a minute here. Somebody's been cooking up a little bit too good, man. You done good, man. You got me gassed off my own shit.
Yeah, thank you, my man. Thank you. So, for those that do not know this man, he is a hard-hitting technician, a furious combination puncher, a superb professional boxer that is moving nicely through the ranks. He is the calculator. This guy is always working out the fight game. He's never stops thinking. He's a chess player in that ring, and we're here to pick his brain on how he thinks about boxing, and we want to also talk to him about his journey. So welcome to the Gunman Insta Live. My name is Wesley, the Gunman Graham. This platform, my chat show, is here for great fighters like yourself to be able to come on and share your experiences and your journey with the fight fans. Now, since announcing this interview, I've had nothing but love in my inbox that the great man is coming on to join us, and you're really highly respected in South London as in a lot of the gyms. So it's an absolute honour to have you on. So
It's an honor to be on so much.
First and foremost, all work is easy work. Where did that come from?
All right, so let me give you a bit of a backstory on this one, right? So, it's something silly, nothing crazy. It was I was doing DT when I was back in secondary school, in like year 7 or something, and my teacher literally noticed I did something, and it was supposed to be fairly a complex project or whatever it was.
Yeah.
And I just went, look, at the end of the day, I just want to get a grade. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
something easy and do it to perfection. So I picked something. I can't even remember what it was. It might have been just making a box or something like that out of wood. And then obviously when you're done, you're supposed to sign it, right? So I signed it with my initials, and it was EZ. And I'll be honest with you, it never occurred to me that those were my initials until my teacher went, oh, you picked something easy and you signed it easy, and it stuck, right? And he started calling me easy all the time, and that literally just stuck. It's like, oh, well done, yeah. You made that look easy. You done the easy work, and that just kind of stuck. Yeah, something not boxing related at all, but yeah, that's it, man.
That's beautiful. I wish I had a cool story like that. I was called the Gunman Graham because I was a black kid living in Surrey, and I started fighting, and I was like, actually, I need something, I need a bad man. I need a bad man name. there was not a gun in sight. You could walk around Wallerton and you're more likely to get run over by a bicycle than shot down by a gun. But
you're pretty safe from guns in Wallington. Man.
Yeah. But we'll come into some of the psychology in boxing in a moment. Now, listen, I have got so many questions for you, and I've got a really great show lined up. So I'm going to bash through because I know already you and I will be able to talk for hours on this stuff. I'm like you. I'm a student of the game. I've been following. I love tracking fighters of all levels. You've been on my radar for a while, and it's been a pleasure to get you on, as I said. So what I'm going to do as well, there's fans, anyone who's in the chat, please ask this man some questions. It can't just be my questions. So give this guy, let's pick his brain. Ask some questions. If you're not following me already, make sure you are following me. I'm going to be giving a platform for fighters like this to be able to share their journey and communicate with the fight fans. So listen, first question, because it's my show, I get to ask you the first question. And I'm going to just say this. This is a question that everybody wants to know. How did you get the best tattoo in the goddamn world? That is absolutely sensational. I love this tattoo. Can you tell me how?
I'm going to give you some backstory on that.
So good.
People don't know what that is from, right? So I am a massive weeb, right? I'm a big nerd. I love my anime and everything. And one of the first things, basically, when I really got into boxing, one of my mates told me to watch this anime called Hajime no Ippo, right? And I really resonated with one specific character in it. And he basically got a scar on his chest from fighting a bear. And it was the 3 marks going across like that. And I went, yeah, no way in hell am I not getting that. Like my favorite boxing fictional character,
Yeah.
100% I'm getting that as a tattoo. But it's not done yet. I'm actually going to add a couple of things to it. You know.
Yeah, don't touch that bit though, man. That is brilliant. It's the best tattoo I've ever seen. And I think a lot of people will say that. It's beautiful.
Yeah,
Don't muck that bit.
I see that in the comments, you know. Yeah.
We got a question straight away, so I try to get the fans involved. We've got Kai Forder here. He's a very good heavyweight. He's saying, "What's it like sparring Adam Aziz?" He's kind of thrown my interview up straight off, but may as well ask you that. What's it like sparring him?
I'm going to give you a very honest answer. I've sparred people through multiple different weights with different strengths and everything, different skill set. I would say out of all of them, Adam's probably the most immediately dangerous. So it's very rare for me to get in the ring and to know if I make a mistake, like, because I'm the type of person where I like to push my limits a little bit. Where I'll see what I can get away with. I'll try this out. I'll go in there and go, do you know what? I've been working on this. I'm just going to try this. Even if it doesn't work, no big deal. Whereas it's very immediate with Adam that if you make a mistake, it's lights out. Do you know what I mean? So I'm switching at all times.
Yeah.
He's my boy, and he is such a nice kid. Like, I'm telling you, like, Adam is like a proper good lad. But when we get in the ring, it's do or die, you know. And it's interesting because I find sparring Adam to be challenging, not just because of his skill set and his ability, but because of his coach. I've got to be honest with you, like, I'm a thinker in there. So there's been times where I've noticed a flaw that he makes, or I've been setting up something and I've caught him with something and I thought, okay, good, I found something here. He'll go back to his corner and he'll never make that same mistake again because McGuigan is, like, Shane's corrected him. Yeah. And it makes it, for me, amazingly challenging because I'm in there, I have to sort of deal with the speed of what's in front of me at the minute, and at the same time think about what kind of corrections might be getting made in the corner. You know what I mean? So, is he the real deal? 100%. Yeah, I think I know that it's very hard when you're on the outside to see what somebody's actually like, but when you're in there. And I wouldn't lie. Like, if I was kicking his ass every time, I'd be like, yeah, fucking piece of cake. Right? Do you know what I mean? Like, of course. Like, but he's a real deal. And I think I've done probably over 100 rounds of him. And I think the one thing that impresses me about him is that he actually improves. So, like, I noticed, like, his footwork got better one day, and I have to keep doing little things. So I'll be honest with you. There was one day where he actually really frustrated me because he sort of changed his style a little bit, where he started using his feet a little bit more, and he's already got very good distance control. So it bothered me. So I started talking shit to him. Right? I started like talking shit. As you do. Because it worked because I wanted to force him to hold his feet a little bit. Yeah. And he did, right? But then after that, he never did it again. Do you know what I mean? So, yeah.
That's absolutely brilliant. So, listen, for those that haven't seen you fight, how would you explain your style?
This is a very difficult question to answer. So,
this is what I'm here for. This is the Gunman Instalive. No safety catch. You know what I mean? I've got some better ones than that coming.
This is very difficult.
Yeah.
But you know
what would you say if someone's never seen you before? What are you going to say? I'm a pressure fighter. I'm a counter puncher. What would you say? How would you describe yourself?
There's a comment.
Yeah, the blood spiller Miller. The blood spiller Miller. 100 million stars. I love that.
That's exactly what it is. I think one of the hardest things, one of the most uncomfortable things I'd say being in the ring with me is that it's not enough for you to be capable of handling what's in front of you in that moment. My style is what I've worked on so meticulously over the past couple of years. It's being incredibly varied.
Yeah.
So
It's noticeable.
I learned so much. I can go from orthodox to southpaw like that. I can have my hands down, I can have my hands up, I can be a pressure fighter, I can be a boxer, I can be a mover. And I specifically made sure that the one thing that I was incredibly good at was being able to adapt in that ring. So when you ask me what's my style, my answer to that is depends on how I feel. Depends on my mood.
I mean, look, Blood Spiller Miller saying not one style can describe EZ. So I think he's right. You know, when I watch you box, you've got so many different styles. But what I love, you know, as I said, I track fighters at all levels, not just pro and top level. I do unlicensed. I even interview guys that are having their first ever fight. I've got no boundaries. I like to talk to everybody. And when I watch what I've watched of you, and when I've followed you, some of your descriptions of your fighting style. Sometimes you post on your story about how you set traps up, and how you sort of commentate on some of your fights and stuff. And it's beautiful insights to see. For anyone who doesn't follow this guy, any of my followers that are on here, I can see quite a few fighters have jumped in. You have to follow this guy. You have to be following this guy's journey. So I'll get a couple of the boring questions out of the way. So when did you first start? Everyone wants to hear about the fighting. I know. We're going to get to that. How old were you when you first started?
So depends. Do you want to hear the public story that I give everyone, or do you want to hear the real story?
Mate, as I told you, there's no safety catch. You know what I mean? No silencer. Give us everything. Give us a real story. How did you first start? Why did you start? Were you a naughty boy? Could you street fight and you had to come in the gym?
No,
tell us the truth.
I'm gonna have to give you this. This is a multifaceted story, yeah. So let me give you the first one, the basic one. I tell people this is the most common one that I tell people when people ask.
Yeah.
This is my politically correct answer, and it's all true, but there's deeper meanings to it all. So when I was about let's go with my most recent one. When I was about 21 years old, which is late, I was quite large. I was quite big. I was heavy, and I wanted to do something to lose weight. Right? I was fat. Right? Like, let me put it simple. I was a little fatty.
What weight are you talking? Because you're boxing at 147 now, right?
Yeah.
What weight?
So I think
were you up
that's
to?
The plan. I was when I walked in the gym, I was roughly 14, 15 stone, about 100 kilograms. Wow. Right? So I was quite big. And honestly, the whole reason why I went to the gym in the first place wasn't because of necessarily worrying about my weight per se. It was mainly because I was sick and tired of doing basic shit and it being a nightmare. So getting up, I think one day it might have been a case of me walking up the stairs or something, and I was out of breath, and I was like, "Nah, this is it. This cannot be my life, and I can't be breathing heavy going upstairs and struggling to pick it. I can't."
Yeah.
Basically, one night, this was crazy. One night, I was on my phone just watching YouTube videos, and I saw this video of a guy who lost something ridiculous, like he lost like however many pounds it was, a ridiculous 50 pounds over in like 30 days, something like that.
Yeah.
And I was like, how did you do it? And it was water fasting, so he just went 30 days with no food, just water. And I thought, some guy on the internet can do that. I can do that, right? So that morning, I had a cup of tea, and that was it. And I went, for the next 30 days, I'm not going to eat anything. So about a week after doing that, I went, okay, this isn't too difficult, but I also want to exercise. I want to do something. So I went, let me find a boxing gym. So I went to a boxing gym. Still a little fatty. Rolled as my coaches would say back then. Oh, I remember you. You rolled into the gym. They never said anything to me at the time, though. I thought I was a dog's bollocks, and I walked in, and about a year later, they were like, "You used to be a fatty." Anyways, now I walk in, rolling, as they say, and I just said, "Oh, I think I want to box," and I went, "All right," and they went, "All right, join this like casual session," and I did. I joined the session now, and then afterwards they went, "Oh, you know what? You've got a little bit of something about you. have you ever boxed before? And I went, yeah, I have. I boxed back at Earlsfield maybe 6 years prior to that.
Oh,
I never
really? You was
competed.
at Earlsfield ABC, were you?
Yeah, I never
Oh, wow.
competed, but I
Right.
trained there for maybe just under a year.
Right.
And so obviously I had fundamentals. I'd sparred there, and I'd sparred quite, or people who have now gone on to be fairly prolific. But at the time, I didn't know. Do you know what I mean? So I had fundamentals, and they go, "Oh, do you have a gum shield?" And I went, "Yeah." And what they did was they said, "Okay, well, we're going to slap you into someone your own weight." Obviously, the people my own weight were fucking 6 foot tall and all that. And my little 5 foot nothing self all tubby and that getting in there. But they were beginners, so I'll be honest with you, I held my own.
Yeah.
I done well, little fat ache and bang, and they sort of went, "Ooh, do you want to compete?" And I went, "Yeah, I would. Like, if I'm putting myself through all this hell, right? Yeah. I might as well like compete, you know." And they went, "Okay, well, if you can get down to 69," this was at this time it must have been around March, maybe, because I think it was around my 21st birthday, so it was about March, and they went, "If you can get down in about 6 months, the new season starts in September, down to 69 kilos, we'll put you out." And I went, "All right." By May,
69 kilos? Yeah. What, from 14, 15 stone?
From 100 to 69. They said, "Oh, in about 6 months you can do it." I did it in 2.5 months.
Oh, wow.
I was that dedicated. I focused on I did it. I put everything into it. I thought, yeah, I'm just going to go all in. I'm going to train non-stop. I'm going to diet. I'll starve myself. I have to. Admittedly, not the smartest way to do it. I've learned a valuable lesson. Yeah. You can't just starve yourself and go training. Do you know what I mean? But I didn't make it for the full 30 days. I got to about, I think, just over 3 weeks, and then I was like, I can't do this anymore. So I got home one day and I had a bit of pasta, and I was like, disappointed in myself for not completing the full 30 days. It was like 20 something, and yeah. Now, like I said, this is probably the first-ish version of the story, but the whole reason I actually really started boxing was prior to this. I did say I went to Earlsfield when I was 15, and there was a reason for that. So 2 things happened, was going on at that point in my life. One, I'd broken my ankle playing football,
right,
and when I was sitting at home doing nothing, one of my mates said to me, "Listen, go and like watch these videos of these boxers and things like that." And so I'm looking through and I'm watching boxing. I didn't really know too much about it at the time.
Yeah.
But I walked in this montage of Floyd Mayweather, right?
Yeah.
I watched it, and while I was watching him, I was so jealous of his footwork.
Yeah.
Because I'm in a cast, right? I can't move, right? And
oh no.
You think boxing and you think of punching. So when I saw his feet, I was like, "Ooh, that's something I really want to do." So I kind of stood there because they gave me the boot, and I was standing there kind of doing this, right?
Yeah.
And as soon as I came out of my cast, I was like, "I've got to go to a boxing gym." Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's how I ended up going to Earlsfield.
Yeah. So you didn't compete. You didn't compete for them. So you just lost this weight. You're still at Earlsfield, and you lost that weight quickly. And then
this was sorry. I need to make this a bit clearer. So funny enough, I went to Earlsfield when I was about 15, and I stayed for a few months and whatnot. But the reason why I left Earlsfield was actually because, like I said, I had a broken ankle, and I basically went straight from out of the cast with the muscles had all atrophied and everything, had like a wobbly leg. And I went to Earlsfield, and what's the first thing that they make you do when you go to Earlsfield? Run. Yeah. Right? Run,
they're known as being quite brutal there.
Brutal for running. And I learned the hard way that you're not supposed to just come out of a cast and immediately just start running and whatnot.
No.
And while I was at Earlsfield, I was struggling with that aspect of it. But somebody said something to me at Earlsfield, actually, funny enough, that really put me off boxing. And it completely turned me off the sport for a while. And one day, one of the heavyweights was sparring Joe Joyce, and he kept getting caught with this uppercut. And as I was going on the run with him after the spar, he was just talking to me about it, and I explained to him, I said, "Oh, the reason why you're getting caught with the uppercut is because Joe's not just throwing the jab straight, he's leaning as he's throwing the shot. So when you slip like on the inside, because his head's here, you're in prime position for the uppercut.
Yeah.
When I explained that to him, this guy goes to me, how long have you been boxing? And I went like a couple of months. And he goes to me, you know, you're too smart for boxing. And I went, what? And he goes, the way you broke that down and analysed it and whatnot. And he goes, every time we speak, you've always got some sort of insight.
You've got amazing,
And
you've always got beautiful insights into boxing.
And he said to me, you should probably be doing something else. Why are you getting your head bashed in? Like when you can, you know, like when you're actually intelligent. You literally goes to me, I'm an idiot. I can't do anything else. That's why I'm boxing. Do you know what I mean? And it made me associate with my 15-year-old brain. I'm thinking, maybe boxing isn't for me. Like I didn't realize that boxing was a single person sport. Do you know what I mean? Now,
were you seeing the game differently to other people because you were watching so much boxing?
100%. I think the main thing is as well is obviously I've walked into an amateur gym, but what made me interested in boxing in the first place was watching American professionals. And I have to say there's a massive, it's almost like it's two completely different sports. It's heavily focused on intelligence, skill and technique and all of that, which you just don't necessarily get in like the British amateur system. You don't really have it as much. But because I was so enamored by that side of the sport, it made me so focused on like the technical aspect.
And the Americans were at the top of the game back then.
They were.
You know, they were really at the top of the game back then, like the American fighters.
And I think the big thing on top of that as well is like for me, I was told by funny enough, somebody who doesn't box now, but at the time, it's actually Zach Chelly's brother, older brother Yaya. He was boxing back then. We went to the same. And he said something. He said to me, "Oh, you're too old to start boxing at 15." He said, "You're too late.
What?
You're too late to start boxing at 15. Yeah, it's too late. Blah blah." So my logic was, "Oh, I've come into this sport late at 15 years old, so I've got to play catch up, right?" And I went, "Well, I might not. There's no way I'm just going to catch up on people on like fitness and all of that straight away, but I could probably outstudy them." That was my logic. I was like, if I just watch loads of boxing, I could probably absorb more information and it will be a shortcut, essentially. It's like, it will be a shortcut to like just jumping levels by making sure that I know so much that I'm able to catch up. And that was my logic. So that's kind of why I became really focused on like the intelligence aspects of it. And it's kind of
like your ring IQ. Your ring IQ.
Yeah. I think, again, it's mainly from studying. So, funny enough, recently I thought about what I think are the most fundamental and important parts of boxing for me personally, and I ranked it in 5, maybe 6 things. I think there's a little bonus one, and at the least important for me, because I feel like they all kind of bounce off each other. But the least important, I put attack. So I think like having a great attack is 5. Then above that, it's defense. Then for me, above defense is ring IQ, right?
Yeah.
And then above ring IQ, it's fitness.
Yeah.
And then above fitness, it's intelligence. And intelligence and ring IQ, people mix them. For me, I don't think they're the same.
Okay.
I think there's inwards ring IQ and then there's actual intelligence. So how I was thinking about this the other day and explaining it to someone. I said to him, you can have, and the reason why I put it in that order is because you can have as good of an attack as you like. You can attack as much as you want. But if you've got loads of attack and no defense, it doesn't matter. Right? And then when you go up, if you've got amazing defense, but no ring IQ, you don't know when to attack, when to take a step back, then it doesn't matter. Right? Now, if you've got ring IQ and no fitness, it doesn't matter. Right? You see what I mean? So when you do it that way, and then fitness, you can be as fit as you like, but if you're not intelligent with it, also doesn't matter. So that's why I've like, so for me, I thought, okay, I'm going to work, like, and it's funny, like, I kind of work backwards. With
interesting that you haven't got technique in there.
You know, because for me,
technique wins, you know, technique alone can win fights, can't it?
I know this sounds crazy, right? But for me, I feel like technique kind of goes with everything else. So like, attack requires technique, right? I think defense requires technique.
Correct, yeah.
Right? All of that. You have to have a good attack, to have a good defense.
Yeah.
That's something that you learn technique, and all of that
Yeah.
is knowledge, intelligence.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Get
So,
you.
for me, the extra one, which goes above all of that, is desire. Right? Because if you haven't got any desire, none of it matters.
Yeah.
So I think that's the bonus, but that's all encompassing. So for me, I always go intelligence first, and everything else follows. Because if you don't have the intelligence to know that I have to be fit to pull this off, then it doesn't matter. Do you know what I mean? I need the intelligence to know that I need to work on this technique. I went sparring the other day, and I knew I did this. This was a lazy flaw of mine, where sometimes instead of being way more side on than I am, I'll go a bit more square because I'm inviting them to throw a shot at me. When realistically speaking, sometimes don't do that. Right? Sometimes don't do that. Do you know what I mean? But I was intelligent enough to realize, this is something that I need to work on. And I spent time working on it, went sparring again, and then improved on it. And it's not as if all it takes was that split second of, I know I made a mistake, let me fix it. That small little moment that you have where you just want to fix something, you don't have the intelligence to stop repeating the same mistakes over and over again.
So interestingly, so you've ranked kind of like those attributes in boxing, but if you was telling a rank beginner what's the most important for him, and it's going, are you going to have your first fight, you're going to train for a fight, you'd probably rank that slightly differently, wouldn't you?
I think if I was telling
like fitness would be like probably one. If you for rank beginner, you can just win fights by being fit, can't you? Rank beginner, be fit. That's like the code, isn't it? Be fit.
But the thing is, I think it still ends up being the same. But the only difference is that the burden goes on to somebody else. So like I said, it goes intelligence and then fitness. Now that intelligence, if you're a beginner, that's not coming from you. That's what your coach is for. You know what I mean? That intelligence should be coming from them, and then everything else still follows. So,
how much does there's a saying, right? Like, your boxing. I love my boxing as well. I during lockdown, I was just watching Jack Dempsey fights, Jack Johnson fights, all the throwback fights, Sugar Ray fights. When I was locked in during COVID, I go to a lot of the big fights. I've been to Hayes Klitschko in Germany and Kessler Frotch. I've seen Triple G Brook. I was even at Yard Beaterbiv last year, Joyce and Zhang. I like to go to a lot of fights of Groves, Eubank. I've seen them all live with Amir Khan, and I study it, and I also study a lot of boxers at lower levels. But it's funny enough, right? You and I feel we're quite knowledgeable in our boxing, but a lot of knowledgeable people in boxing will say boxing is a young man's game. And actually, you look at the evidence, not my opinion, let's just look at the evidence, it isn't. Do you agree with that? Because the evidence is, look at the top fighters in the world. They're actually experienced. They're all deep in their 30s. Beterbiev, Bivol, Canelo, Lomachenko, Terence Crawford, Spence Jr., Fury, Wilder's 38, Usyk. So why do people have this misconception that boxing's a young man's game when really the evidence suggests it isn't?
I think what's really interesting is I thought about this before, and I think one of the main reasons for that is because boxing is kind of a young man's game, but when we think of young, we immediately think of the age. Right? But what it is as well is youth in boxing is kind of slightly different, because you could be, say you came into boxing fairly late, you haven't taken as much damage, right, as somebody who might have started boxing really young. So in a way, you're still kind of young in that sense. But like I said, the main thing really is looking at rather than just age, experience, right?
Yeah, it's experience, no doubt about it. I mean, I just wanted to answer Blood Spiller Miller's points here, because I think about this as well. And we're saying Haney, Lopez, Shakur, and they were the young fighters that straight away I think of in my head as well.
I think they're going to get
actually better. Have you noticed though that they're all in the smaller weights, the younger guys?
Right.
So it's actually age tends to be more of a factor in those smaller weights. I think Anua as well is young, isn't he? So you're seeing younger fighters prevailing in those smaller weights, but actually experience. If I've done 300 pro rounds and you've done 20, I've got a huge advantage on you. And so that actually favours the older fighter that's been around the block. Someone like Beta Bev, he's coming up to 40. And Beta Bev, he's not far off 40, but he's had 300 amateur fights, like, and that is just unbelievable. When do you have time to have 300 amateur fights?
No, it is.
You know what I mean? So
boxing, one of the main things with boxing is that it doesn't strike you immediately, but composure is massive. And the more you fight, the more you're in the ring, the longer you're around it, the more composed you become, and it drains you less. It takes less out of you.
Yeah.
And, I think like with younger fighters, I agree. There's a spring. There's like a hunger and a determination that when you're young, you just kind of do things. But I feel like especially as you start doing more rounds and as it gets longer, it does become more of a chess match, and that favors the more intelligent fighter. And the thing is, the main reason why boxing is a young man's game is because, well, the ones that are in boxing young as professionals have probably been boxing since they were children.
Yeah.
So although they're young,
yeah,
they have so much experience. So they might be young in terms of age, but if you start boxing at 4 years old, by the time that you get to 20, you've got 16 years of experience. So maybe you're physically young, but in a boxing sense, you're an old man. Do you know what I mean? Like, you're an old man. Like you're a teenager in boxing. You know what I mean? Like that's old, yo. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, and that's why like the young man's thing. I get it, but that's just taking it at face value. If you actually break down all of these young fighters that you're seeing, how long have they actually been in the game? Because they've been in the game.
Beautiful. Yeah, that's really nicely put. Yeah, that's really nicely put. Listen, 3 things that ruin our great game, our lovely sport. There's 3 things that predominantly we have to talk about, and that would be.
Going with this, man.
There's 3 things, isn't there? There's robberies, matches not being made, and influence of boxing. Now I'm going to quickly bang through the 3 points because I don't want to take loads of your time. And I know, as I said, me and you could be here a couple of hours to put politics, but I think now we're going to be here till next week. But let's do that. Let's do that under robberies. Okay. So let's just touch on all 3 points. What should we go with first? I mean, I think let's go with influence of boxing.
I want to do that one last.
Okay, let's do that one last. It's your interview. Which one do you want to do first? Robberies, fights not being made, influence of boxing. Your choice. Let's talk on each of them quickly.
Deeper and deeper. Let's start with fights not being made.
Okay, fights not being made. I'm just going to make the point. Listen, the Saudis have turned it around now. That Saudi muns means that Hearn and Warren are even working together.
Bro,
they've turned it round. They've turned it round. But go on. What's your views on fights not being made? Like in pro boxing. I know we all know, but speaking to fans that might want to know a little bit more about this. What's your opinion?
Look, in my opinion, I think I'll be honest with you. I think it sucks. I think it would be in an ideal world, and this is a very controversial opinion. I personally think that we should kind of get rid of fillers, right? So, for example, so when I say fillers, I know that people always say like, oh, this sport needs journeyman and this, that, and the other. I'm gonna be honest with you. I kind of feel like if you get rid of all of that, the extra fighting, the extra controversial as hell.
I think so.
You get rid of all of that.
Yeah, I mean, I've had sorry, I don't want to cut you off, but I had a 250 fight journeyman on here, and I had such an interesting chat with him. But he saves shows. There's times where people pull out. There's people that pull out on a day, and he's like sitting on his sofa having a joint.
I kind of feel like if they weren't there, I'm sorry for cutting you off. I kind of feel like if they weren't there, we'd be forced to have more of those fights. And I feel like there should be an incentive to, to actually, like a better incentive to, because I get it. Nowadays, it's all about that record. It's all about having that, like, that massive record and whatnot. Everyone's chasing the Floyd Mayweather.
But the journeyman's got a place, hasn't he, to pad up, you know, sort of upcoming fighters, to save shows when people pull out last minute. They've got the right to earn money as well.
100%, they've got the right to earn money. Yeah, but
this is
one of my most controversial opinions. If I go really deep on this one,
if you go deep on this, we're going to be here.
Because we're going to be here all day. And on top of that, I'm not being funny. If I thank you, Miller. I think we need gatekeepers for sure. Like gatekeepers, not journeymen. I think that's where, because if you hear the business side of it as well, it's just like, to me, it's mental that's even allowed in the sport.
Yeah, but I feel like I've got to say to Miller, Blood Spiller Miller, I have to say though, listen, good fighters don't take fights at a day's notice. Like generally, A-side fighters, A-side or box office fighters or elite fighters, decent fighters don't take fights like a week's notice. And I think journeymen, you need them to save shows. You get people that pull out on the night of a show. I've had someone pull out on me in the day I was fighting them.
I completely understand that you might need them to save a show.
They're part of the ecosystem.
But if you look at, if you go on like looking at all of the like if you look at a journeyman's box rec, they've got a fight lined up every single week. Do you get what I'm saying? Like, so that's not as if they're just there to save shows. Do you know what I mean? And sometimes, not being funny, if you need a fight's getting pulled out, like Miller just said, don't fight that week. Fight the fight.
But as I said, I interviewed a 250 plus fight journeyman on here, and it was one of the most interesting. And the guy would be sitting on his couch getting stoned, drinking a beer. He'd get his phone rings, and he's up and he's in his shorts. And he said he could turn it around sometimes in 2 hours. He'd be up. He was smoking on the bloody live when I was. and he'd be up and he'd be in the ring in 2 hours, saving the show.
For me as a fighter, hearing that pisses me off. Because for me, it's like the amount of work and dedication that some of us have to put in, the sacrifices that we have to make for someone to like kind of get off the couch and get in the ring with me is.
But these guys
an insult.
Can handle themselves. You know, when you've had
to me, it's an insult. Like, I think like the fact that you've kind of come in and you don't even have the desire to win for me is like,
you just want to get paid. Yeah. Like you just want to get paid. You might get a couple of grand.
Like I try really hard to not get personal, because it isn't personal. It's not with the actual person. It's just with for me, it's the concept. The idea of getting in with somebody who like isn't trying to win, right? It's just that for me just makes my skin crawl. Do you get what I'm saying? Like, and like,
but there's a place for it in our game. Unfortunately, there's a place for it in our game.
But I don't. But should there be? Do you know what I mean? And that would obviously, that's again another deeper conversation. But should there be? And fighting somebody who doesn't want to win, just that for me, because like for me, boxing is a test of wills. Do you know what I mean? And like,
when someone's just there for the Let's get on to robberies. Because we've got to scuttle through.
Yeah.
Because I've got still a lot to get through to you, and I'd love to talk to you long. Robberies in boxing. How do we end this?
Again,
can we end it?
I think robberies. Boxing has a fundamental problem in certain areas. So, for example, the scoring system probably needs to be tweaked a little bit. How exactly we do that? Okay, I have an idea which people hate.
I've got an idea as well. Let's share ideas. What's your idea?
Okay, this is just a very minor thing. Yeah. I actually think that so like when I score contests, and the reason why most people tend to agree with my scorecards is because I score each round on kind of like a spectrum, right? Of like clear, close, etc., etc. But what I do is with the middle tiers that I've got in my head, like say I've got 5. If you're in that middle, I actually score the rounds even, right? And I score rounds even way more often than what most people would do or would like. And my reasoning for it is this: if you score rounds, like for example, if there was 5 close rounds, right? And you score all 5 of them as draws, right?
Yeah.
The score difference isn't going to be massive. However, if you have to give it to someone, you could have given all those 5 rounds to the wrong person and you get a one-sided looking fight. Now, on top of that, to make matters worse, when you've got a fighter you see it, how many times do you hear it where you've got like, oh, this fight was a very competitive fight the whole way through, but the scorecards are completely wide. That's one thing for me. Score more close rounds, because I know that they go, oh, but it kind of feels like, for the fighter anyways, you'll feel like, oh, I got robbed of that round, I got given it a draw. But it's easier to accept that round was close and they gave it to us as a draw, rather than I thought I won that round, but they gave it to the opposite person, right? And not being funny, as a fighter, if you can't win a round, right? If you go, because I see it this way, if I got a round that was a draw, I would be thinking I could have done a little bit more and I would have won that round. You know what I mean? And
we've got some suggestions in here, and live scoring is one.
Yeah.
I don't know. We've got another guy. That's I think it's Leon Simpson, good fighter actually. Another guy I need to get on here at some point. He's saying make like a VR system. I'm not sure what he meant. I read it. He's written like what footballers do. A VR. What am I missing something there?
I think the concept of that would be able to rather like before you say at the end of a round, you might be able to go over and look at something. Do you know what I mean? It could help with. I think that would help more with referees than the actual scoring. Do you know what I mean?
My idea is. I mean, the live scoring idea is a good idea, but the thing is, they did that in the Olympics, and it's a tappy, a point scoring. But listen, in the pros, you can't do that, because in the pros, it's a completely different game. I can jab you 20 times, and then I'm winning 20-0, and then you can smack me once, bang, and I'm down on the floor. And actually, then in the pros, my 20 scores, if you want to call it in a scoring system, they go to naught again. Do you know what I mean? Because you've won the round. You've hit me with one shot, knocked me down. I may have hit you all round. So the live scoring, I think, is difficult. But my idea is put the scorecards up after every single round. Because boxing is the only bloody sport where you don't know what the score is. And it's the only sport where the participants don't know what the score is. So how about you and I are boxing, right? You were beating the shit out of me, and they put up the score that I've won. It'd be an outrage. I've won that round. It'd be an outrage. So at least if it was like, I'm not saying change to 10-8, but if it was 1-0, 2-0, 2-1, 3-1, at least you could come in and see what the score is. You could come into the TV, you come into your living room. Oh, he's winning 3-1. Like any football, you're going on TV.
I get that. But for me, the issue that I have with that is that it doesn't actually fix the problem of the judging itself. Because the thing is, you putting up the scores and then being visible might cause an outrage, but shouldn't robberies be causing an outrage anyways? And they already do. And the issue
they can't fiddle it then. If you know the score of the match and the participants know the score of the match, at the end of the match, you can't go, oh, actually, this guy's won, because we've already been seeing the scores.
Hypothetically, what if the scoring still stays the same, but we just see it as it's happening? So as they write it, say the scoring's still the same. So every single round, you're disagreeing with it, you're disagreeing with the scores, but it doesn't change anything. The issue is that the actual scoring itself, the method, needs to be refined. That's how I see it, the actual method. Because it's very easy to go robbery, corruption, blah, blah, but in my opinion, those are cop-outs. Because that way, you're giving people a way out. The real solution to that is treat it as incompetence. I would see it as, are you capable of doing your job? That's how I see it. Because realistically speaking, not being funny, the judges should be the ultimate authority. They should, one, be better at scoring than the general public. They should be. It's their job.
Yeah.
So the thing is, if we're getting a point where the scorecards are looking funny to everyone, we should then be going, what's happening here with the judges? Is there an actual issue? Are they incapable? Are they mistaken? And I think that judges should be interviewed the way that fighters are. You've just been getting your head bashed in for 12 rounds, and they can come up to you and ask you how you think you did, whether you think you won or not. And the judges just go home and have a nice little nap in a hotel or something like that as well. What should be happening? It should be question Why did you make this decision? And publicly explain what's your reasoning. Do you know what I mean? Because I feel like that way, if they have pressure on them to actually answer for anything that's suspicious, then all of a sudden you kind of got like an urgency to make sure that you're getting it right. Because I would personally, I'd hate to be the guy that made a bad call and I've got the entire world on my back telling me you're an idiot. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, I like Bloodspiller Miller's idea of live scoring. I like my idea of also just putting the scores up. But the flaws in both our ideas, I feel, would be in the longer form fights. So not like your amateur three round fights or your 5 round fights. I'm talking about your 10 round, 12 round fights. The problem is if you're putting the scores up and one guy's losing badly, that they could just quit. And you don't want to see that. You don't want to see someone going, oh, actually, do you know what? According to the score, I don't know, 6 rounds down, or there's a wide margin opening here now, so I may as well just give up this fight. And you could see that in a longer form fight, which would really be shit.
I'm personally not necessarily a fan of the fighters knowing what the scores are.
Would you not want to know? Would you personally not want to know the score?
No, I feel like that's part of the game. Because I think
I'd want to know the score.
No, it is, because
I think I'd like to know what I need to do to win. Like every other sport, you know what you need to do to win. Every other sport. Name your sport, you don't know what you need. You don't know if you're winning or not.
In my opinion,
you know,
that's what makes boxing unique. Because I said that,
but it also makes them so they can rob us.
I did mention this earlier. To me, the most important, whatever it is, element of boxing is intelligence, and I feel like you have a duty, and your team has a duty to be intelligent enough to let you know where you are in that moment in time. Do you get what I'm saying? So for me, it's a part of it. Like, it's a part of it. Like, are you a few steps ahead? Are you smart enough to realize, okay, I might be losing this on points, but I'm trying to set up this body shot later, or I'm trying to set up this knockout. So being able to have that knowledge for me is a part of the game. Personally, I like not knowing. Yeah.
Let's jump on to influencer boxing, because these are 3 points. Like I said, you and I can be, on these topics a long time because we're passionate about the sport. It's our sport, and we're passionate about it. Let's go on influencer box, because this is another one that could be a long time, and then we'll have a few fun questions just to round up. I didn't even really get to go too much into your pro career as well, which I want to do a skim on that as well. But so we'll just blast through. So, listen, influencer boxing. What's your thoughts on influencer boxing?
When it first blew up, I was very neutral on it. At first, I was very neutral. I didn't care, because for me, it was a completely different sport. Like, I'm not being funny. Once I turned pro, this isn't true. I was going to say I don't concern myself with amateur boxing, but I do, because obviously I've got a passion for the amateurs as well. But like, as an amateur boxer, I never worried about white-collar boxing. And that's, to me, basically what celebrity boxing was. It was like white-collar boxing. It doesn't affect me. Like, if people want to punch themselves in the head for money and attention, that's fine. Now, after having first-hand sparred with like the likes of King Kenny, Jarvis, people in the influencers scene, my opinion has changed massively.
Go on.
I'm a big fan. Right?
Really?
Because here's how I see it. They don't have to do it. They could be making money doing other things. But I've seen them train, and they train like fighters. I've seen the way that the coaches treat them. They treat them like fighters. They're coaches. They're not just influencers. They're actual boxing coaches. And you and I both know how hard this sport is. Imagine how hard the sport is when you don't have to do it. When you've got no aspiration to be a champion, but you still get in every day. You're still weight cutting. You're still getting punched in the head by actual professional boxers. Look, I'm not gonna say anything.
But does it bother you? Does it bother you? You're a under 5 fight pro. Does it bother you that a guy with a blue tick and followers can queue jump you in earnings, in the platforms that he can get on? Does that not bother you that like someone who's a hard-working amateur isn't getting on that stage, and a guy who's got a blue tick and some followers, or someone who can TikTok better than other person can queue jump you? Does that bother you?
Does it bother you that you weren't born to a billionaire. Does it bother you?
No, it doesn't bother me. No.
That's how I see it. I'm not in competition with strangers.
But can you understand?
But they're not queue jumping me. Like, the thing is, it's not as if they're jumping and getting, oh, boom, now suddenly they're getting a Southern Area title, an English title, they're world champions, because for me, I cannot stress this enough. I could quit boxing right now, and I would be good. Like, financially, I'm not in the boxing because I want fame and popularity and I'm really interested in, like, that's got, honestly.
I know what you mean. They're not queue jumping you in terms of Southern Area titles or actual professional belts. But
and like for
me, do you, if you take it not personally though, Emmanuel, if we take it as fight fans don't like this, you know, real fight fans, boxing fans, they don't like misfits. They're not, you know, they don't like Jake Paul. There's a pushback. Can you understand that?
I'm going to say something mental, yeah? Like, you're going to have to come in close for this. Don't watch it. You don't like it, fans don't watch it. Don't talk about it. Because all these people are doing when they're doing that is giving it more and more attention. Like, I'm not being funny. I'm not interested in golf. You don't see me going on pages of golf being like, oh, I hate this sport, or this is rubbish, oh, what a terrible swing. I don't do that. And that's the thing, like, although it's adjacent to your sport, it's not your sport.
Okay, what about this then? Last week, I'm not going to name any names or promoters, but you'll know what I'm talking about. Last week there was an Insta Live. It grossed over 200,000 views, held in a gym with no insurance, no referee. Was it safe for the fighters to be fighting? It was influencers or guys with big followings.
This is where I draw the line. But I don't draw the line on this because I want to have a win over the influencers. I draw a line in this because I know how dangerous this sport is, and I value people's lives and their safety, regardless of whether I know them or not, whether I like them or not. And for me, there's this massive hypocrisy that I hear from a lot of boxing fans saying how, they're not proper boxers, blah, 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 they shouldn't be doing it, it's not sanctioned properly, and then they'll be rooting for the guys that they don't like to get knocked out. I can't wait for Jake Paul to get knocked out one day. Or Which one is it? Which is it? So are you with it, or is it just when it suits you? And for me, I have to be logically consistent. And the reason why I take issue with that specific thing is because it's not sanctioned. They're not safe. And that's my issue. If it's done in an environment where it can be as safe as it can be, then...
Like Misfits is a controlled environment. I'm talking about some of when times, and this is not just last week, you've seen over years, you know, like Insta Lives of spars that are fights, really. It's been going on for years, isn't it, on here? Like, where you're seeing fights in gyms being streamed live with a guy who's drunk as a ref. You know, or you know what I mean? Probably no weigh-ins or, you know, no medical team.
I want to admonish that, and I don't condone it, and I don't like it. However, small caveat, just play devil's advocate. When I was a kid, I remember, like, after school, the lot would come down, we'd get a bunch of gloves, we'd go into my garden, and we beat the living daylight out of each other. Yeah, we just beat each other up. That's what we did. So in a way, it's not much different. The only difference is that now it's for clout and it's being recorded for, like, to get streamed and whatnot. And I think the issue with that is you're drawing in more people and you're sort of pressurizing people to do it. Whereas for us, we just wanted to have a little punch up the garden. Do you know what I mean? So halfway, I see the problem with it, but at the same time, I don't want to be a hypocrite because I used to like throwing hands back in the old park back in the day as well. Do you know what I mean? So,
yeah. Couple of questions. One last one on the actual boxing, then I've got a few fun questions for you quickly. Showboating.
Big fan.
Same here. I absolutely love it.
It heavily depends for me on so okay, I'll give you an example. I was at Elsfield show the other day, and somebody slipped in the ring, right? They just threw a punch and they slipped, and this guy like acted as if he knocked him down or something like that, and did like a little showboat. And I was like, oh, what a dickhead! Like, what a dickhead. The guy just like slipped on the mat. Like, what the fuck are you doing? But when it's like, especially when it's a part of your style, you know, I feel like that's a part of it. At the end of the day, a lot of people don't like showboating,
but why?
It is literally
why do they not like it?
A sport. Do you know what it is? I'm gonna be honest. It's small dick energy and insecurity in it. Like, I'll be honest with you. I think like sometimes people tend to put themselves in the position of the person that's losing, and they think I would feel really shit if that was happening to me.
But right? if my skill makes you look average, or my skill humiliates you, isn't that brilliant? I think that's brilliant. You know what I mean? You know, and I see Ben Whittaker got over 100,000 followers in 24 hours following his last performance on Saturday. I think that's brilliant. I've been following that guy since before the Olympics, and he's always boxed like that. Great movement. I've been following him a long time, that guy. I love to see fighters have flow and express themselves. And if you've got it, flaunt it. This is the entertainment game. Entertain me.
Entertainment game.
Yeah.
And what I find really interesting is, I can't stress this enough, people just say things sometimes, yeah. Oh, we really don't like it. They're so... Because the thing is, it's a vocal minority. They're saying how much they hate all the showboating and, oh my God, I can't wait for him to get chin, blah, blah. But then look at how his numbers went through the roof. Do you know what I mean?
His numbers went through the roof. And it's great business to take money from both sides, not just your fans, but the people that want to see you lose. Yeah. They're paying you. They're paying you as well. So take money off both of them. So quick couple of questions then, mate. Right. So look, I'm just going to name like one thing. I just want off the top of your head what you think is what's your favourite. It can be what's your favourite or what you think is going to happen. It can be whatever you think. Just the first thing off the top of your head. Okay. Jab or uppercut?
Jab.
AJ or Fury?
Shit. I'm gonna go AJ, man.
Eubank Jr. or Conor Ben?
Eubank Jr. I'm not even close.
Saudi money or a world title?
World title.
What if the Saudi money is 300 mil? Or and the world title's an IBF?
World title. I don't. Do you know what? I'll be honest. IBF is a good thing. Look, I'll be honest.
I made you think. Do
you know what it is? Yeah. I'm gonna be honest with you on this. The thing is, when it comes to money, with me personally, my life wouldn't change.
300 mil.
No, my life would barely. I'm telling you, Miller said IBO. Don't violate, man. A belt's a belt.
There you go. Saudi money or an IBO.
Do you know what it is? Like, okay, this is tough. This is very tough. Because
okay. I'm nicking that blood spill a minute. I'm gonna use that IBO one from now on.
It is. It's because, like, for me personally, I'm not really in boxing for the money. Of course, I want money, right? Everybody wants money.
But we're prize. But when you turn pro, you're a prize fighter. Though,
yeah, and the main thing is as well. I think it would be. I said this earlier. Funny enough, I think it would be selfish of me to put my own desires over everyone else. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm gonna be like, you know what? I could like pay off these bills, pay off this, sort you out, and I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna walk away with an IBO belt. That's madness. Do you get what I'm saying? Like, I can never forgive myself. So
I know, but I do believe, Easy, that we are. You know, you're a prize fighter. You've got to fight for the prizes, man. And you saw Jai Opataya the other day. Yeah. I think he vacated. I think it was an IBF. Mm-hmm. I think he vacated an IBF so that he could have a Saudi fight.
With him, it's because he knew he could get it.
But he can get it back, yeah. But still, I actually thought that was a brilliant move.
Yeah.
I actually thought it was a brilliant move. Okay, listen, we've got to crack on. Hardest sparring partner?
Blood Spiller Miller.
Yeah, you only say that because he's on here.
You know why I'm saying that?
And you've spotted some absolute beasts.
You know what it is?
Go on.
I think the reason why his is very difficult is because me and him are very similar. So we're both switch hitters. We both got dreadlocks. There's hair flying everywhere. You get what I'm saying? It's mental. And like when I think I've got him, right, and I'm like, oh, he's out of position, boom, I get hit with him in the southpaw position, so I have to switch. It's complicated. Like it's genuinely difficult. And you've been,
you've sparred guys like Adam Azim, Freezy, McBones, and yours going Devon Miller. Miller's Blood Spiller's Miller is a good fighter, and the size difference. The size difference. Yeah, the size difference.
Been sore for a week, bro. Freezy.
Who's that? Sorry,
Freezy. So Freezy, I sparred Freezy one day. I'll never forget this. Yeah, I made it my mission to make sure that I would not get hit by him clean once, and I was so proud of myself. I blocked everything. I didn't get touched once. I went home and my elbows were hurting. I'm telling you, my elbows were. Have you ever had elbow pain from just blocking punches for a week? A week.
Really?
No, his power is different. Yeah. Man. His power is different.
Yeah. Yeah, different. Okay. Were you born to fight or did you learn to fight?
I think
it's an interesting one. That one.
This is a difficult one.
Yeah. Were you born to fight or did you learn to fight?
Because I strongly believe that in a way, you kind of have to have it or you don't. But at the same time, I learned everything. I learned absolutely everything. I'll tell you a little story. When I was a kid, I used to watch Kung Fu movies, and I just used to pretend that I was just fighting loads of different people when I was a kid. But that's a learned behavior. Do you get what I'm saying?
Mm.
So I don't know. I feel like I've always had something in me, for sure. But I 100%. I pride myself in my ability to learn how to fight. Because you have to overcome. You have to overcome your fear, your doubts, and that's. I don't think that even if you're born with the heart of a lion, I take pride in my ability to learn how to become a fighter.
So you'd say you learned to fight, yeah? Yeah, I say I learned to fight. I wasn't born a fighter. I learned to fight. I've got no bones about it. My family, I've got no fighters in my family. I've just got into boxing. I've always loved it all my life. I've watched it all my life. I learned it. And some guys have said that as well. I've learned. It's really interesting. I asked quite a few fighters that. Some are born, and some just learn it. And they're interested. And they learn. They skill up.
Sometimes I find this question so hard to answer.
Hard.
My sister
to answer, yeah.
My sister showed up to one of my fights, and she said to me, I didn't know this. She said to me, I find it so weird that you've picked up boxing. And I went, why? And she goes, you know that that my father passed away. And she goes, do you know that when you were a baby, Dad used to take you to the gym?
Oh, right, Pete.
He used to get bags in front of you. I didn't know that. I didn't know that. I was like, I don't have any recollection of this. I was in the buggy. Do you know what I mean? And she goes, I just find it funny that out of all of us, you're the one with no memory of the fact that he used to love boxing.
Yeah.
Ended up picking it up. So maybe I was born to fight. I don't know. Do you know what I mean? So it's a tough question. Yeah.
It's a tough one. Yeah, it's a tough one. No one answers that differently, and I always like that one. So I see Kingo Matsola. He actually spars with. He's a stable mate. He's just arranged to spar with Devon Miller, and he was asking if he'd get some rounds for you. But he actually, I've had him on here as well, and he's a stable mate of Will All Night Long. Who used to Will All Night Long used to spill with.
I've done rounds with Will.
Yeah, so Will's been on here as well. Really interesting interview with him on here. He was on here as well. Yeah. If you've done rounds with him, he's got some serious Jack Johnson stuff, long arms, and mate, it was a fun awkward puzzle. Well, he looked awkward. I've never been in with him. I've commentated on one of his fights. I do commentary as well, by the way, and I've commentated on one of his fights, I think. But yeah, he's difficult.
He's a bad guy, man. Yeah. No, he's a bad guy. Because I've been seeing that motherfucker lay people out, but he's training bad men. So imagine going from like sparring man like Freezy and that, and just laying out some poor guy who's coming off a 9 to 5. He's a bad guy, man. He's a bad
I
guy.
tell you what, he's coached by his brother as well, which is a brilliant story, man. Like, it was brilliant interviewing him. I really connected. I always connect with everyone I interview.
Yeah, I like him.
And yeah, he's coached by his brother, which you don't see often. You do not see. I don't see that often. I always see loads of father-son combinations, but very rarely. Like my brother, I think I'd kill him if he was telling me to run up a hill. You know what I mean? It's a really weird chemistry, but it works so well for them. So listen. I'm going to wrap it up now because I don't want to take too much of your time. But I did want to just mention your pro career, and you know, you've been moving really nicely. And then I saw you had a fight, and I think it was Dubai, wasn't it? And you lost on a split. Can you just tell the fans just quickly what happened there? Because you'd won 3 fights. Basically, you'd won 3 fights on the spin, had your pro debut, won 3 fights comfortably, looking really good. You had, my understanding, and please correct me if I'm wrong, I do research, but this is why I love to talk to you, because you'll know better than I. That you had I think you had an opponent out in Dubai, and did someone cancel on you, and then you had another late replacement and threw you off a little bit. But please, let's hear it from you.
So I took a really big break after my 3rd fight because my last fight was in September. My son was born in November of that year.
Yeah.
Took a massive break out and everything, had a bit of a change in management and whatnot. This fight sort of happened kind of last minute-ish. Kind of had to rush it, and I really wanted to get back in the ring. I was matched to fight one person. I had a last-minute change. There's no
too good an opportunity to turn down.
Yeah, for sure. And like, I'm very much I want to fight type person. So I was like, I've just got to take the opportunity. And I'll be honest with you, it was I lost a lot of weight very quickly, just to make it. And
why did you lose that fight?
I don't think I did. If I'm being honest,
was it a robbery?
I'm not going to use the word robbery because I 100% should have knocked him out. I dropped him in round 1.
Yeah.
And then it's only a 4-rounder.
He hadn't won a fight before, that guy.
Yeah, and I dropped him in round 1, and I will admit I maybe took off round 2. I kind of think I won 3 and 4, but
he was like 0-2.
But I've got to say this: that was the best thing that ever happened to me.
Yeah,
because it ignited me and gave me a new fire and a new understanding of the game, preparedness, and don't worry, I'm going to rematch him.
I was just nicked my next question.
Don't worry.
I was going to say, can the fans expect to see a rematch?
100%.
It's got to happen. You can't.
We're going to have a rematch.
Yeah,
we're going to do it at 147.
Beautiful.
And I want an 8-rounder rather than a 4. And I guarantee you, there's no way in hell he's seeing the final bell.
No, you can't lose that. You can't lose that.
It's not even. No. Forget losing. I'm not worried about losing.
Nah,
there's no way I'm going to let him survive those 8 rounds. No way in hell. And
when's that? When you're looking for that, then when's that fight?
I need to.
That's what I do, mate. That's what I do. So you've got a fight coming up in Czech, unknown opponent. I think it's coming up very soon, isn't it? I won't ruin anything.
Yeah.
What's next for you?
I don't mind saying it. I should be fighting next weekend.
17th, isn't it?
On the 17th. Fingers crossed all goes out. Big man, you've been stalking like crazy. Listen. If my girl ever leaves the house, I'm calling you. You get what I'm saying? But
that's what I do, mate. That's what I do. I should be 17th
next week.
No opponent named.
Not yet. I've been given a few suggestions. To be honest, it doesn't really matter. I want to have a fight next week, and ideally, I want to have another one either at the end of the month or beginning of March. I want to just get active.
Yeah.
We'd
love to. I think everyone would love to see you active and pressing on now.
Yeah.
And taking some nicer tests. For sure.
I'll be honest with you, the main reason why that rematch is not happening immediately is because, like I said, I'm personally definitely a long round fighter. I prefer my 8s, my 10s, my 12s. So I'm going to build up to that 8. So I'm going to do this one that I've got scheduled. Doesn't say it on Box Rec just yet, but it's going to be a 6-rounder.
No.
And then, Don't worry, I'm on the same wavelength as you, man.
Right.
But yeah, it's going to be a 6-rounder. The next one's going to be a 6 or an 8.
Lovely.
And then I'm going to do an 8 with him as well. So it's time to start moving up a little bit.
Beautiful.
Beautiful.
So just lastly, before I let you go, I mean, it's gone almost an hour and a quarter, and I don't like to do usually more than an hour, but like I said, I think me and you have done well to keep it an hour and a quarter, because honestly, we could have talked on a lot more on a few of these points, and I hope to get you back on anyway. I hope this isn't the last time you're on this show. I really hope to get you on before some of your other fights. I would really love that. I'd really love that. I was going to say, have you lastly got a message for the fans?
Take it easy, man.
That's actually brilliant. Listen, thank you very much for your time. I'm glad you enjoyed my promo vids. I'm glad that you looked up, a little bit about this show.
Bangs, and the one that you sent me as well. I can't wait to share that. I was like, let me do the interview first. Bangs.
No, absolutely. So long as you just tag in at Gunman Boxing, let people know about the show. I'm just trying to get, I want to get the show out there, and the whole purpose of it is just to give, like I said, exceptional fighters like yourself the platform to be able to come and speak to us and share your knowledge. And I do, like I said, I've done a white collar fighter that's had his first ever fight, right up to I've had Wayne Alexander, who's finished his career. So I do the full spectrum. I've had a bare knuckle fighter on here. Last question, actually, would you do bare knuckle if the money was right?
You see this face? Nah, man. Nah, man.
No chance
for that.
But it's funny people say that though. But if you was in the pub and someone started talking bad to your missus, you wouldn't think twice about brucking them up bare hand, would you?
But the thing is, if I was in the pub and someone was talking bad to my missus, it would be over like that.
but you wouldn't.
It would be immediate.
It's funny that boxers look. Every boxer I ask, they go, "Nah, I wouldn't do bare knuckle," but they wouldn't jump in a ring. They'll have a street fight, but they wouldn't jump in a ring and train and fight.
No, do you know what it is?
I can't. It's weird, isn't it? It's weird though, isn't it?
I don't know about other boxers, but I'm too pretty for that, dude.
Mate, don't get me wrong. I'm on the same camp as you. No chance. Don't get me wrong, mate. I've seen guys on that. I'm watching BKB and the rise of it now, and you're seeing people like Austin Trout going into it now. There's a few fighters going into it. Who else is going into it? Mike Perry, MVP. There's a few of them guys getting put down by jabs. Guys getting put down by jabs on the regular. Nah, it's not for me. I'm not.
I don't think there's anything wrong with it. It's just, I'll be honest with you, I just love boxing.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I love this sport of boxing.
Yeah.
And I just feel like that's a different sport. You see, the same way where influencer boxing for me is a different sport. Do you know what I mean? Like, even amateur boxing for me is a different sport. I don't love amateur boxing the way I love pro fighting.
A bare knuckle guy would say, oh, no, but this is pure boxing. Back in the noble days, there wasn't gloves. People fought bare knuckle.
Yeah, and we also didn't have indoor plumbing. Like, what does that mean? We're going to start shitting in buckets? Nah, man.
Yeah. Look, mate. I'd still rather drive a Mercedes than go back to my horse and cart.
That's what I'm saying.
It's been an absolute pleasure.
Really,
as I said, I hope to have you back on the show again. I will stay in touch. And when you are fighting on these shores, I'm definitely going to hook you up for a ticket. I'd love to come and support you. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for your help. It's been an absolute honour to have you on.
Thank you so much. And once again, take it easy. Peace out, man.
Take it easy, big man. Respect.